All right, namaste. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and come on up to standing. Go ahead and just start to rub your hands together a little bit. And then take your hands and just put them right over your eyes and your face. Feel the energy of your hands. You might even feel a sense, that sensation of more kind of electricity in the hands with the friction. Just feeling that quality of energy there. And then just release your arms to your sides and shake your arms and shake your hands. And get your arms nice and noodly. And then shake your bottom. Shake your hips a little bit from side to side. Come on, get it going. Get that flesh shaking. Great, all right, a little shimmy. Get those girls moving. All right, and then just the legs. Like fast motion Tina Turner dancing. Okay, and then we'll release all of that and we'll start a little bit of tapping. So you can start with whichever leg you like and we'll work our way up. So both hands to one of your ankles. Work your way up the shin. All the way up the back, the calf muscles. Switch legs. Lower half of the opposite leg. Tap, 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 tap. And then the thighs. Let me do one at a time. You can try both. Inner thighs, outer thighs, back of the thighs. Hit the booty. And the sides of the hips. Hip flexors. Lower abdomen. Hip bones. A little higher on the sides. More kidneys. And lower front ribs, and up to the sternum. And you might have flat hands, you might have just bent fingertips as you just tap around the sternum. And just let your fingers kind of move from center over toward the armpits, underneath the clavicle. All right, now take your right arm up as if you're showering and just tap your right side with your left hand. And then switch. All right, and then one arm at a time. Start at the shoulder, work the top of the arm, top of the forearm, all the way down to the hand. And work it around a little bit and get a little bicep, get a little tricep and forearm. And, yeah, get the traps. Woo. Side of the neck. Flip your arm over, get the inner part of the arm, inner forearm. My biceps are still feeling a little fatigued from the snowing or the shoveling. All right, other arm. You can work it any way you want. Shoulder down to wrist, inside of the arm. And get the edges, even though there aren't really any edges, get the edges. You get the opposite plane of the arm, front or back, wherever you started. Get up into the shoulder, the trap. All right, and then both hands, drop your chin and get both hands back behind your neck just to work up the back of the neck a little bit. Get the base of your occiput. Tap, tap, tap. And then work your fingers around your ears and bring them to your face. Drop your jaw, get your jaw hinge. Your cheekbones. Over towards your nose, get your sinuses a bit. And then under the cheekbones. Get your upper lip. And your laugh lines. Your chin. And then up to the forehead. Third eye. Then tap out across the brow and forehead to your temples. And then work your fingertips up the sides of your head toward the crown. Tapping that kind of part down the middle of the hair. Tap back a little bit, top of the head. We're tapping down to kind of where you left off at the base of the skull. All right, and then just release that. Just let your arms hang. Your arms had to do a fair amount of work there. So just stand for a moment. Just feel the effects. Now we're going to do a little bit of banging of the gong, so stepping your feet a little bit wider. We're just going to swing. Let your arms tap wherever they tap. And really feel, you get a little bit of that momentum going, so you can feel some force sending blood into your fingertips as your arms move. You get some nice twisting going on here too. All right, and then we'll just release the twisting, and we'll do a little bit of jogging. Try to keep it loose. Notice what happens as you start to do this, and gentle with yourself. All right, now rather than jogging, jump rope. Just pretend you got a little rope there, and you're just so good to get the lymph going here. All right, and then just release that. And then we're just gonna do a little bit of marching. So pull one knee up and then the other. Pull the knee up as high as you can. I feel like I'm in step aerobics in 1987. Let's get physical, physical. Wish I had my headband and my leg warmers. Wow, all right, that's a great way to start to warm up. So just take a moment just to kind of stand, see how you feel. Notice your heart rate, notice what's moving. The whole system feels a little bit more alive. Not a bad way to start to launch ourselves into our yoga practice today. So come on up to the top of your mat. Let's take some of this energy with us as we're moving our January bodies here. So bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. Take an inhale. Exhale, release your arms down. Inhale, arms come up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Ooh, first one of those. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. Your choice, knees bent or straight. Exhale, fold in. Let's come back up. Inhale, reach the arms out, up and overhead. Looking up again, a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, swan dive back into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha. Exhale and fold in. Come on back up. Inhale, reach the arms out, up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive a last time here into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha. Exhale, fold in. Now bend your knees and we'll do a little bit of that swinging of the arms in our chair stance here. So swing. Really waking up those leg muscles now. And again, just letting your arms kind of swing in a really natural way. So you feel the force of energy and blood moving to your fingertips. Opening up your shoulder joints, lubing things up a little bit, and firing up some leg muscles here. And then go ahead and come right back into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha. Exhale, fold in. Let's step back to our first downward facing dog. All right, now in down dog, we're going to just do a lifting of one leg. We're going to bring that leg forward into a lunge, step back to down dog and switch to the other side. We're going to do that a bunch of times. So lift your right leg, swing it forward into a lunge. Just feel that lunge there. Step it back to down dog. Lift your left leg. On your exhale, bring it forward, find a lunge. Just feel the legs. Step it back to down dog. Lift the right leg. Swing it forward into lunge. Just be with that. Step back to down dog. Lift the left leg. Swing it forward into lunge. Be with it. Step back to down dog. One more time each side. Lift the right leg. Bring it forward into lunge. Step it back to down dog. Lift the left leg. Bring it forward into lunge. And step back to down dog. All right, now from down dog, shift forward into plank. Press back to down dog. Forward to plank. Back to down dog. Forward into plank. Back to down dog. Forward into plank. This time lower down to the floor. So keep the hands alongside of the chest. We'll come up into a little baby cobra here. We're going to do 3 of these. So root the tailbone back and down. Lengthen heads of the arm bones forward towards your ears and then lift up. And exhale and lower down. Relax your neck and shoulders for a moment. And then let's do another. Lengthen your side bodies. Come on up. And lower down. Relax your back, your shoulders. Elbows are in a little closer to your side ribs here. And a third one. Lengthen side ribs forward and lift up. And lower down. Just cross your hands, rest your chin on your hands and pick your feet up. Circle your ankles a little bit. And then drop the feet from side to side. Little reverse windshield wiping here. And then take your knees out wider on your mat and continue to reverse your windshield wipers with your knees wide. And then bring your knees in together, bring your feet together, and try to drop your feet to one side or the other. Now, when you keep your knees together, you're going to be lifting one of your knees up as the legs drop to the side, which is fine. We're just getting a deeper twist in the spine that way. All right, let's release it. Just let the legs come down, hands alongside of the chest, and press up and back to downward dog. Let's walk the hands back to the feet. Coming back to forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha. Exhale and fold in. Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha again. Push your inner thighs back. And as you exhale, fold in, root your tailbone down. Try to engage your glutes a little bit more. Engage your thighs a little bit more. See if there's room to deepen your forward fold a bit. Now, please bend your knees. Again, we're going to come back to the skier, letting the arms just shift forward and back. Try to have your weight as far back in your heels as you can. Even if you feel a little bit off balance, we're just really getting some movement here today. And then come all the way up to standing. Release your arms down to your sides. Take your hands into a clasp behind you and widen your feet. Bring it forward into forward fold as you lift the arms. Adding a shoulder stretch here. And then maybe you take your hands and move them from side to side. So drop them to the right, your torso will turn to the left a little bit. Then back to center, drop the hands to the left, turn to the right a little bit. If that doesn't work for you, you can just stay stable in the middle. Move at a pace you like here. And then release, hands to the floor. Let's walk the hands forward, coming back to downward facing dog. All right, now let's lift the right leg again. Bend the knee, open up through the hip a little bit. On your exhale, sweep your right foot forward into a lunge. This time, come up to crescent lunge. Sweep the hands back down to the floor. Step back to down dog. Shift forward into plank. Press back to down dog. Let's lift the left leg, bend the knee, open up through the hip. On your exhale, bring your left foot forward into a lunge. Find your foundation, come on up to crescent lunge. Sweep the hands down to the floor and step back to down dog. Shift forward to plank. Press back to down dog. Shift forward to plank. Shift back to down dog. One more, shift forward to plank. And this time lower down to the floor. And let's bring the hands back behind for Shalabhasana. Now you just had your hands behind you a few moments ago. See if you can put the opposite thumb on top just to give yourself a little change up there. And then lift up into Shalabhasana, lifting the hands, lifting your gaze. Try to keep the feet on the floor. Can you keep your big toenail and your pinky toenail down as you root your tailbone and lift your torso? Release. Rest your chin on your hands. Pick your feet up. Circle your feet again. Let the feet drop from side to side back to a little reverse windshield wiper. And then bringing the feet back down to the floor. We're going to do a second Shalabhasana here. Bring the hands back behind you again. Now this time take your feet just slightly wider. And lift up through the chest, roll the shoulders back. Now notice how the fronts of your feet are resting on the floor, and try to keep that consistent, but lift your legs up. Breathing. And release. Rest your back. Push your knees down into the floor so your bottom lifts up a little bit. And then bringing the hands alongside of the chest, press up to tabletop. And back to down dog. Let's walk the hands back to the feet again. Back to forward fold. See how it feels. How are the legs doing with this? Inhale, lengthen halfway for Ardha. Exhale and fold in. Now bend your knees a little bit, and then you're going to take a hold of your elbows. And just see if your forearms can kind of be in the center of the top of the head. Now hug your feet and your knees towards your midline as you press your inner thighs back. And then see if you can lift your torso about halfway. So you're about parallel to the floor with the torso. And then fold back in. So it's kind of a reverse sit-up here. We're going to do a few more of those. So inhale, lift up, torso is about parallel to the floor. And exhale and fold in. Let's do it again. Inhale, lift up. And exhale and fold in. Two more if you have them in you. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold in. One more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold in. Release your hands to the floor. And if you want to straighten your legs, feel free to. You can do an alternate leg straightening. You can straighten both of them, whatever feels best to you. And bend your knees, bring your hands up onto your knees, coming back to your skier stance. And swing the arms back to Nordic track. Now, go ahead and take the arms up alongside of the ears and kind of stick the pose here in your chair. Come on up to standing. Release the arms down to your sides and just turn your palms forward and see how you're feeling. Feel that energy movement in your body. You know, when you get things moving a little bit more like this too, it's so good for us after the holidays. Oh, all right. Let's step back up to the top of the mat. Bringing your hands to Anjali Mudra. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, release your arms to your sides. Inhale, arms up and overhead, looking up, a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, take another swan dive to Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward for Ardha. Exhale, fold in. Step back to downward dog. Shift forward to plank. And back to down dog. And forward to plank. And back to down dog. One more time, forward to plank. And back to down dog. Let's lift the right leg. Bend the knee, open up through the hip. Keeping your shoulders square to the floor. And then straighten your right leg. See if that pinky toe on your right foot can reach up a little higher toward the ceiling. Work those glutes and the hip as you're opening up that hip, straightening the leg. On your exhale now, sweep the right foot forward, coming back to a lunge. Spin your back foot down, come right up to warrior two. Now we're going to go kind of back and forth fluidly between side angle and reverse warrior. We did this recently. So slide forward, side angle stretch. Come on up and drop right back to reverse warrior. Lean forward into side angle. Lean back to reverse warrior. Lean forward into side angle. Maybe you drop your hand to the floor this time, either inside or outside the foot. And come on back up, dropping back to reverse warrior. Come forward again, choose your side angle the way you want to do it. Maybe you drop that hand down, maybe you don't. Back up to reverse warrior. And one last one, make it a good one. However you want to do it. Bring it up, lean back. And windmill your hands down to the floor. Step back to down dog. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale forward to plank. Now this time in plank, we're going to take our hands and tap our hearts one hand at a time, obviously, because we have to stay up there somehow. So right hand tap, left hand tap, right hand tap, left hand tap, etc. Keep going. Stabilize your core. Try to stabilize your hips so you're not going back side to side quite so much. I know it's a challenge, but that's why we're doing it. All right, and then press it back to down dog. A couple nice deep breaths in your down dog before we go to the other side. All right, now let's lift the left leg, bend the knee, open up through the hip, keep the shoulders square to the floor. Can you straighten the left leg? Left pinky toe reaches up. Try to keep your right shoulder equally lifted from the floor as your left. On your exhale now, let's sweep the left foot forward. Find your lunge leg. Spin your back foot down, come right up to warrior two. And we're going to go back and forth between side angle and reverse warrior. So come forward, take your first one, just elbow on the knee, top arm alongside of the ear. And then come on up, right back into reverse warrior. And tip forward again, back to a side angle, elbow on the knee. And bring it on back up, reverse your warrior. And lean it forward. Maybe this time a hand comes to the floor, either inside or outside of the foot. Bring it up, reverse warrior. Just two more of these. Coming to your side angle, whatever variation you want. And then come on up and drop it back to reverse warrior. And last time, side angle. And last time here for reverse warrior. Bring the hands down. Step back to downward dog. Shift forward into plank and go ahead and lower all the way to your belly. Pointing your feet, let's come to cobra. And lower down. Prop yourself up on your right elbow and forearm. We're going to take a thigh stretch here. So you might roll over to your right hip a little bit, and so you can reach for your left foot. Come back to your belly. Push your foot back into your hand and try to have the front of your pelvis and your thighs evenly greeting the floor as you press your left foot into your hand, and maybe you lift that leg up a little bit. Rooting the tailbone down. And then release that leg. Let's go ahead and go to the other side. So resting on your left elbow and forearm, reach for your right leg. Find your foot however you can get hold of it, and then come back to your belly. A nice even rest of the pelvis and thighs on the floor, and then push the foot back into the hand. Root your tailbone down. Maybe you can lift that right leg up. Or not. And then release. Set the leg down. Come down, rest your chin on your hands. And give yourself a nice rest here. Feel the quality of the energy when you're doing a more active practice. You know, even just starting with all the tapping is a way of kind of shaking everything loose. It's like you picked up your doormat and shook it out. And then all of the snowfall just moves away so that the inner body can shine again. All right, hands alongside of the chest, press up to tabletop. Sit back in a puppy pose here. Come up onto the fingertips. And then walk your hands in towards yourself and come up onto your knees to a vertical spine here. We'll do a little bit of work with some cobra pose variations. So let's start with a symmetrical, not cobra pose, camel pose. So hug your knees in towards your midline a little bit, and then move your inner thighs back and draw your tailbone down and your belly in and up. Take your hands in a clasp behind your head and kind of lengthen the back of your neck as you lift up the back of your skull a little bit. Now continuing to hug your midline, start to drop your head back into your hands a little bit. And just be very present with this back bend. Keep your abdomen toned. Keep hugging your midline as you lean your head back into your hands. And come back upright. Just bring your hands down to the floor and give yourself a nice big cat tilt after that. Just to give yourself a counter pose that just might feel good. Come back to a neutral spine and work your way back up to a vertical spine on your knees. More camel variations. Now, take your right hand back behind your head, reach your left arm up, and then turn to look to the left, and you're going to reach back towards your left heel with your left hand. See if you can kind of rest on that hand. Now, as you're kind of here, can you turn your chest a little bit more upright, still supporting your head? A little bit of weight on that left hand, but you're still trying to square your chest to the ceiling a little bit. Tone your belly, hug your midline. And then come on back up. Release, bring both hands down to the floor. Be neutral in your spine for a moment or two. And then take a nice, gentle cat pose. Releasing that, come back to neutral spine. And then bring yourself back up to vertical so we can do the other side. So take your left hand back behind your head, supporting the base of the skull. Reach your right arm up. Hug your midline with your knees, inner thighs back, tailbone down, and then start to look to the right. Bring that right hand back and try to find your heel. Let a little bit of weight come into that hand as you're leaning back. Now, can you turn your chest a little bit more square to the ceiling? So you increase the back bend a little bit here. Breathing, supporting the head. And then come on up. Release the hands to the floor. Neutralize your spine for a moment. And then just drop your head, round your back to whatever extent feels good to you after that back bending. And then coming back to a neutral spine here. Okay, we're going to go to the wall and we're going to get ourselves upside down now. So, if you would like to do legs up the wall and just simply give it a rest for a moment or two, you can do that. I'm going to use this wonderful contraption, the headless headstander. But you can do whatever you like. If you want to kick up into handstand, rock on with your bad self, whatever it is that you would like to do to invert. So find your method. All right. So if you still are up there, wherever you might be, just start to find your way down to rest. And if you were just up there, keep your head a little bit lower than your heart for a moment or two as your body just finds its equilibrium. All right, so if you will, slowly take your time to come up to standing. Great, let's do one more set of thigh stretches here. So if you'll stand, put a hand on the wall, take a hold of whichever foot is available. And press the foot back into the hand. A little bit of a dancer pose here. Draw the tailbone down, pull your belly up, and then see if you can balance and take the hand off the wall. Now, can you move that leg, lift the leg up a little bit higher without tipping the torso any further forward? And then let's go ahead and release that. All right, other side. So standing on the other foot, take a hold of the other one. Hand could be on the wall, or arm could be up alongside of the ear. Push the foot back into the hand as you find the thigh stretch. And maybe you just stay here for this exercise. And if you want to challenge your balance and your back bend, push the foot back into the hand and see if that back leg can lift up without tipping the torso any further forward. Whew. My balance is challenging me today. All right, and then release. Set the foot down. Give it all a big shake again. Shake the legs, shake the arms. Okay, now we're gonna work a little bit of a pigeon prep, if that's in your wheelhouse. So if you took your mat to the wall for your inversions, you can bring it on back to the middle of the room. I'm gonna take a bolster to do my pigeon prep and then see how it goes. And if I feel like I don't really need the support, I might take the bolster out. Just a nice place to start, especially in the wintertime. So I've got the bolster at a diagonal, so it supports the back leg a little bit as well as the front leg. It goes kind of right under the floor of the pelvis there. So right leg forward first, or if you're doing 90-90, you're sitting on the right hip. Or if you're on your back, your right ankle is over your left ankle. Right, so finding your variation, settling in with your body, see how it feels, if it feels right for you right now. So just settling in. And maybe still just feeling the effects of doing a pretty active practice, but allowing your body to simply settle in when you're working with the hips here. We're not going to try to force anything. And just find a way to settle and let yourself be kind of blanketed in the pose. Right? So remember last class we were allowing the yoga to do you, so to speak. So bring a little bit of that back for this portion of today's practice, letting whatever pose you find yourself in just settle in. See how your body responds to the shape that you've taken. And then use your discernment and choose whether or not that's a good place for you to stay. All right, and then we'll find our way to the other side. So slowly come on up. If you did a pigeon prep, a down dog between sides wouldn't be such a bad thing. Find that sense of evenness. And then we'll come into the other side. However you're approaching the pose you've chosen here. And just notice as you come forward, the placement of your head is also going to be felt in the hips. So if you drop your head all the way to the mat, it's going to be very, very different than if you have your head elevated on your arms or up on a block. So find the place that feels appropriate. The posterior chain is all connected. So from your head all the way down to your hips and your glutes, there's a deep connection there. So choosing appropriately as your body responds to what you're asking of it, or what the yoga is asking of you. One or two more breaths in your pose here. All right, and slowly find your way back. And if you want to step back to down dog, feel free to go there. And lengthen your spine out. Okay, let's set the knees down. Let's go ahead and roll over onto our backs, and if you'll grab your strap. Let's take the right foot up in the strap. Take your left leg down to the floor. And then with both straps in the right hand, open your right leg out to the right. So we didn't do a triangle pose today. Just allow this to kind of be the opening of the inner thigh. Draw your tailbone underneath yourself a little bit so you're externally rotating that right leg and really feeling that stretch all the way down the inner leg. Now as the weight of the leg drops to the side, what's happening with your left leg? So ground yourself. Use your left hand to keep that leg as strongly grounded as possible. If you close your eyes, can you feel whether or not there's airspace back behind your left thigh? Probably there is. So you want to try to close that gap as much as possible. So press your inner thighs down. Give yourself a little inner spiral. And then see if you can close that gap a little bit. And then draw that right sitting bone under you again. All right, now let's bring that right leg across center. We'll take it over to the left. Switch your hands with the strap, roll over to the left hip and cross the right leg over. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we didn't do any of these, super twisty things throughout practice. So just letting the body have this experience here, soaking it in. Working its way up the outer leg and hip. And always, always choosing whether it feels like it's the appropriate stretch for your body, given where your body is at this moment. Couple more breaths. And then bringing that right leg back to center, let's switch feet. Left foot up, right leg down. Both straps in the left hand, and then opening the left leg out to the left. Opening up that inner leg. Maybe using your right hand to ground yourself. Maybe you press down on your pelvis, right on the hip bone. And keep that grounded there. Notice how that changes things, right? Sometimes you can go through your whole life doing your practice and your poses exactly the same way without any exploration. And we don't realize there's a whole world that we've missed an opportunity, right? So trying to feel like creating a shape that looks a certain way is really just not going to serve us as much as simply exploring in your own body. What does it need? How can you play with the pose in a way that's going to serve you best? So maybe if you've got a lot of airspace under your right thigh, a little inner spiral, press the inner thighs down, arch your low back, and then pull your low belly up and draw your left buttock under you a little bit more, and see if you can open it up a little bit more in the inner leg. And have your right leg more grounded. All right, so let's bring that left leg across center. Switch the straps into your right hand and cross it over to the right. Woo! Feeling into that. Give yourself as much strap as you need. Try to maintain a sense of your hips kind of stacked on top of one another, so your left hip isn't closer to your head than your right one is. You want to try to root that left hip kind of away from your chin. And just be here, allowing your body to acclimate, assimilate, accommodate the pose, and adjusting as you need. All right, go ahead and bring that leg back to center and step out of the strap. Now we're going to roll to the side and we're going to set ourselves up for a nice big passive back bend here. So if you will, take your bolster, and you may want to have a block for your head. I'm going to put, since my bolster is kind of flat, I'm going to put another blanket on top of it to give myself a deeper back bend. But that means my head's going to need some support, so you might use a block for your head. Now I'm putting the bolster horizontally across the mat. So I'm going to just bring myself here. I'm not going to put my sacrum right up against it. I'm going to give myself a little space and then drape over. Oh yeah. And put my head on a block and take my arms straight out in a T. So see how this lands in your body. If immediately it's too much in your lower back, try to scoot your body down a little bit. And then give yourself a little pelvic tuck. And then if your bottom can rest on the floor there and your back feels better, then maybe you stay with that. If it still feels like too much, you may take a folded blanket and just put it under your bottom. But you know, in the wintertime, well, in general, as people who walk around and do things, we don't tend to naturally have that many things that we do that requires a back bend. So the fact that you get to do it in your yoga practice is a beautiful thing. And whenever you can provide yourself an opportunity, it's going to serve you very, very well for a long time. So what a beautiful thing. We'll just stay here another moment or two. We did some camels. We did some cobras. We did some shalabasanas. We've done a number of back bends, so hopefully this feels pretty all right for you. And if it doesn't, don't use the bolster. Maybe you use just a rolled blanket or a folded blanket instead. You know, we're all in different places in our bodies, and especially right after the holidays, we have to afford ourselves some grace, some self-imposed grace to take care of ourselves. All right, so let's bend the knees, roll to the side, and bring yourself up to a seat. Okay, we're going to do some pranayama. So now that we have really kind of worked ourselves, you know, we've shaken it, we've jumped around, we've breathed. We've stretched it out. We've repeated things. We've worked the muscles. Now we're going to breathe a little bit and use the breath as kind of the ultimate shop vac to pull out some of that stuff, the dust that's settled over the holidays. And so let's do, first we'll do breath of fire. Take the arms straight out. And you're going to have the thumbs point up and curl the rest of the fingers in. And just roll your shoulders back and down so you can kind of settle your arms into a place where you can stay for just, you know, maybe 30 seconds or so. All right? So here we go, breath of fire. All right, go ahead and release. Just rest your hands on your legs. Relax your arms and shoulders. And give yourself 2 or 3 rounds of deep inhales and exhales here. Really pushing your expansion limits, right? So as you inhale, filling everything out as fully as you can. And as you exhale, really releasing as much as you can. All right, and now we're going to do a little bit of the Kapalabhati exercise where you take the arms up. Then we make fists and strike the side ribs just to get any of those fuzz balls that have collected in the ribs, get those out of there. All right, so at whatever pace feels best to you, here we go. And then release that. Rest your arms and hands again. Breathe fully and deeply again. So as you sit here now, breathing deeply after your practice, notice the quality of the energy in your face and your head. Notice what you feel, if you feel anything. And if you're a more visual person, maybe it feels, like particles. Maybe it has a particular color. Notice the temperature in your nostrils. Notice your ears. We don't often think about how our ears feel. Maybe you don't really feel much there, but just bring your attention there. Can you feel how your hair is making contact with your ears? Maybe, maybe not. How are the muscles in your neck feeling as they move from the base of your skull down into your traps and your upper back? Keep breathing fully as you're doing this visualization. Can you feel the energy from your shoulders to your fingertips in both arms? Can you feel the movement of your breath out the front of your body, your chest, and as well out the back of your body as the back inflates a little bit on your inhale? So feeling like this cloud of breath is expanding and contracting from your center while you breathe. And then notice how your lower back, your pelvis, and your hips are feeling right now. Are they okay in the seat that you're in? Do you need to adjust them a little bit? We won't be here much longer. That doesn't mean you have to stay there. Just know that if your hips are talking to you in any particular way. And then just notice the overall quality of the tissue in your legs from your hips all the way down to your ankles. Does it feel alive? Does it feel worked? Does it feel like it's breathing? Does it feel stretched? Is it more subtle than that, what you're feeling? And then just bring your attention to your feet. If your feet are within reach, then just take your hands and massage the arch of your foot with your thumb a little bit. Really kind of grounding the energy of the feet, bringing ourselves kind of back. So right underneath the mound of the big toe, you can work that area. You have chakras in your feet, and that is the placement of one of them. Just kind of physically grounding them, letting your feet feel the contact of your hands, solidifying a little bit, feeling your 3D-ness in this body. And releasing the feet, just let your hands rest on your legs. Just take just an overall picture of how you're feeling, how your energy feels at this moment. If you'll bring your hands to Anjali Mudra now. I'm just feeling unbelievably grateful to be alive. For every cell of this body that so brilliantly knows exactly what to do. Thank you. And I give thanks to all of my teachers and to all of you for coming to your practice today. So I hope you feel energized and alive and ready to roll on this January day. Thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.